Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Walaikum assalam, respected sir.
Walaikum
I can
assalam, dear
see
doctor.
people are talking, but I'm not hearing anyone.
Walaikum assalam. कैसे हैं आप? Can you hear us now?
There we go. Okay. Good evening. Well, it's morning for me, evening for you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you for confirming that. So I'm pleased today to welcome all of you to this Zoom meeting to talk about artificial intelligence and the creative process. I think that's a big topic now, and I think that we're all going to have to think about it moving forward as the technology develops. And I think maybe that's a good place to start is thinking about the technology, how it has developed, and what is it actually. I saw some nice comments uh, in the forums where I can't remember who said it, but someone had said AI is not so new as we think, and I thought that was a great comment because I think that if you go back and start thinking about when did you first use a spell check in your word processor, let's say in Microsoft Word, for example. Well, that was a very simple form of AI, but it's not that different from what we have now. It's just has a much simpler, narrower task. I do a lot of video editing, and the software that I use to edit it can filter out background noise. So if you wanted to focus on someone's voice, it'll filter out the background noise. That's using artificial intelligence to do that. But it's easy to not think of that as artificial intelligence because I'm not going out to get a separate app. It's built into the app I'm already using. We've had Siri on our iPhones and Bixby on our Samsung phones for years now. And you can get on Google Maps and say, find the nearest restaurant to me, or find the nearest um, university, and it'll do that. So all those things are bits of artificial intelligence that have been built into other devices and apps that we use. And now everyone is in a bit of a panic because we now have large language models where students can get online and have chat GPT write their essays for them and things like that. And so everyone's worried, are we going to all lose our jobs? Are students never going to learn another language again? Are they never going to learn how to write or think creatively? Is this going to destroy the world? And everybody's, you know, highly concerned about those types of things. And that might be, those might be genuine concerns, and they might just be sort of alarmism. If you think back to thousands of years ago, everything used to always be memorized. So, and people still do that. They'll memorize the Quran, or some people will memorize epics and things like that. But it's not as common as it used to be. It used to be that everything had to be memorized. And the only reason you would write anything down is so you could send it to someone else. And so that person could then memorize it and then recite it. And in the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, in the Socratic dialogues, there's a moment when Socrates says that he doesn't like writing because he thinks it's going to destroy memory, and everyone's going to be far less intelligent in the future because they're no longer memorizing every single text that they need to learn. And maybe we don't remember things as well as people did thousands of years ago, but it didn't destroy civilization. So we have the same type of reaction to new technology all the time, and I think we're having a similar reaction to artificial intelligence. So in my opinion, the things we need to be concerned about are using it ethically and using it productively. I noticed that when my students use it, it's very noticeable. It produces very bad work. I can see that there's no consciousness in the middle of the writings that they submit. There's no context. There's no relevance to here and now and local issues. when they use it, but that's because they're misusing it, in my opinion. And I think that there are ways to use it as part of your creative process where you're not getting it to think for you or create things for you. You're getting it to assist you with the development of your own ideas. And so for that reason, I brought in a colleague of mine who has gotten extremely good at using different types of artificial intelligence applications. She is an architect. She was educated in Cuba in architecture, and she does interior design and architecture around the world now. And she started using artificial intelligence to integrate it into her business and into her work practice. And so she was already in a field where she would have to meet with clients and they would say something like, okay, we have this space in a building. We want to make it into a doctor's office or a bank or whatever they want to make it into. There's a certain set of dimensions that she has to work with. There's a certain set of requests that the clients would have in terms of what they want it to look like. And she would have to come up with an image of what these architectural spaces are going to look like based on these dialogues with her clients. And that creative process already involved back and forth, sharing of ideas, listening, and then trying to develop something visual that went with the words that people were using. And so when she started integrating artificial intelligence into her work, it sort of, she found a natural way to just integrate it and use it to start developing the pictures for the prototype of the things that she was going to then design and then have made for the interior designs that she was doing. So that's what got us talking about using AI in an ethical and a productive way. And it got me thinking, a lot of our students are going to graduate and they're going to go get jobs where their employers might expect them to integrate artificial intelligence in similarly creative ways so that the apps actually, or the robots or whatever you'd like to call them, are actually producing the vision that you created in your mind rather than making something for you because you are too lazy to do it, which is the way our students misuse it sometimes. So I'd like to introduce to you Kendra Ador, and she is my colleague here who's going to talk a little bit about AI, how she's used it, which apps she likes to use, and how she's used it. She's actually gone beyond just using it for architecture, but using it for writing and other things as well. So I will hand this over to her now. Just let me know if you can hear her. We're going to share the microphone. So it will say that she's muted, but I'll just stop talking and it will share the microphone. And if you could, on view, just leave it on gallery view, because the Zoom will think that I'm speaking because it's going to hear her talk through my microphone, because we didn't want a lot of feedback and stuff like that. So I'll hand this over to Kendra.
Hi, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here, and hopefully I can give you some tips for using AI effectively in your work and also with your students. Please forgive me, I'm not very tech savvy, believe it or not, with the Zoom tools. So we're gonna try and share the screen. I have let's see, so back here, share. I'm gonna share this one. Can you see it? Yes, great.
Hello, I am an AI avatar, and I'm here to tell you Kendra's story. Kendra was born and raised in Cuba. She is a former Cuban national record holder in long-distance apnea. Her mother is an artist, and her father is an inventor, so it was inevitable that she would become an architect, and more recently, an AI prompt engineering artist, author, and teacher. Kendra lived in England for 10 years, from 1996, where she worked as an interior architect for large international firms, like HOK International, and was the lead designer for the public spaces of the largest hospital in Europe. She has resided in the Cayman Islands since 2006, with a 4-year break in Cuba during the Obama Rolling Stones Airbnb years. Her AI artwork has been exhibited at Cayman Art Week, where it sold out, and several times at the Canvas 3.0 Art Gallery at the Oculus World Trade Center in New York City. Her first solo exhibition is scheduled for the summer of 2025 at Fábrica de Arte Cubano in Havana. She has been invited to reside as an artist at the prestigious Studio Cura in Japan. Kendra has published a book through Amazon Kindle in 13 countries about Cuban cuisine in Spanish and English, and she is working on another book on prompt engineering. She also teaches prompt engineering at UCCI in Cayman and is the CEO of Alive Design. This time last year, Kendra knew nothing about prompt engineering. She learned about this magical technology called AI and used it to expand her creativity beyond architecture and into fields she never dreamt of conquering. Her art became successful and opened doors worldwide: Cayman, New York, Havana, and Japan. Kendra's mission now is to create powerfully meaningful content and to teach the creative use of AI tools to expand, explore, and embrace the boundless spectrum of our human experience.
All right.
Hello.
Sorry. These are some examples of how I started using AI initially, just for architectural visualization, just to help me with some concept designs for several projects. Then it evolves from there. Why learn AI? Ivan already touched on some of these points. The World Economic Forum is a great a place to find information about how it's affecting the workplace specifically. And it's expected that AI will have a role in 80% of the business strategies this year, as early as this year. And it will handle 47% of all repetitive tasks. So anything that we've been doing that used to be a copy and paste or redoing things, and we do it in architecture as well. I have friends who are lawyers who are used to creating templates and just repeating that. All of that is pretty much gone. Your AI will be able to assist with those tasks, and what you need to do is to learn how to prompt and how to get the most out of your super assistant.
AI tools are software applications that use artificial intelligence algorithms to perform specific tasks and solve problems. They leverage techniques like machine learning, deep learning, and natural language processing to analyze data, automate processes, and make predictions. These tools are incredibly versatile and find applications across various industries. Understanding AI tools requires grasping their core components. Machine learning algorithms enable systems to learn from data without explicit programming. Deep learning, a subset of machine learning, uses artificial neural networks to analyze complex patterns. Natural language processing empowers computers to understand and generate human language. By understanding these underlying principles, we can effectively harness the power of AI tools to drive innovation, improve efficiency, and gain valuable insights from data. As AI technology continues to evolve, staying informed about the latest advancements in AI tools will be crucial for individuals and businesses alike.
One important point is that you have to remember that your AI tool, particularly ChatGPT, Gemini, and the others we're going to talk about, are not up to date all the time, although now they can access the web and get information from there. But I find, specifically to do with cultural issues, you might have to train your model a little bit more on your particular culture if you want to get the best results. We'll see some examples of that towards the end.
Artificial intelligence, AI, is a broad field of computer science focused on creating machines capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. This encompasses a wide range of abilities, including learning, reasoning, problem solving, perception, and language understanding. At its core, AI aims to replicate or simulate human cognitive functions in computers. This is achieved through various techniques, most notably machine learning. Machine learning algorithms enable computers to learn from data without explicit programming, identifying patterns and making predictions. Deep learning, a subfield of machine learning, utilizes artificial neural networks with multiple layers to analyze complex data like images and speech. AI is not a monolithic entity. It encompasses various approaches and technologies. Rule-based systems follow predefined rules to make decisions, while expert systems mimic the decision-making of human experts in specific domains. Natural language processing, NLP, focuses on enabling computers to understand, interpret, and generate human language. AI is transforming industries and our daily lives. From virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa to recommendation systems on Netflix and Amazon, AI is becoming increasingly integrated into our world. As AI technology continues to advance, its potential to solve complex problems and drive innovation across various sectors is immense.
So Ivan touched earlier on how we used to learn and memorize everything. And I have noticed over the years how we were doing away with words. We weren't needing to use words so much anymore. So we relied a lot more on buttons and emojis to create results. And now what's interesting is that whoever has a second or third language, whoever has a language that's more flowery or descriptive actually has an advantage when it comes to prompting, because that's pretty much what we need to use as a tool.
Increased efficiency. AI can automate repetitive tasks, freeing up human creators to focus on more creative and strategic work. Improved productivity. AI can help generate content faster and more efficiently, increasing overall output. Enhanced creativity. AI can provide new ideas and perspectives, sparking creativity and innovation. Data-driven insights. AI can analyze data to provide insights into audience preferences and content performance, helping creators make informed decisions. Challenges and considerations. Ethical concerns. Issues such as plagiarism, bias in AI algorithms, and the potential for misuse need to be addressed. Maintaining human creativity. While AI can assist in content creation, it's essential to maintain the human element of creativity and ensure that content remains engaging and authentic. Quality control. AI-generated content may require human editing and review to ensure accuracy and quality. Overall, AI is revolutionizing the content creation landscape, offering new possibilities for generating, optimizing, and distributing content. By understanding the capabilities and limitations of AI, creators can leverage its power to enhance their workflows and deliver more effective content experiences.
Okay. So we'll go into, this is another example of how I've used it so far. So this is for the cookbook. It's everything in the cookbook is was produced with AI, except for the recipes, of course. But all the images, the graphic design for the books. If you're not doing, well, we'll talk a bit more later, but if there are different types of books within Amazon Kindle, but the whole process is automated and is very, very simple to do your own publishing, which is fantastic. So we have, you may have heard of the different large language models is what they're called. So they use these massive sets of data to produce those results when you're writing. Gemini, that belongs to Google. So everything you've ever used Google for is now trained this model. ChatGPT, which is probably the most used model. And then Claude. There are differences between these models. I personally prefer ChatGPT for creation. Claude is a little bit more scientific, and what's interesting as well about Claude is that it's governed by European laws. So it has the guardrails are more defined than with ChatGPT and Gemini. All the models usually offer a free plan and that has a limit of numbers of words of tokens, as I call it, to produce a result per day. I suggest trying the different models, seeing which one works best for you.
And then once you're more comfortable, you can decide if you upgrade or if you just use all three for different things and combine the results. I don't like to produce the whole document that I'm working on inside the models. I prefer to do the research, brainstorming, help with it could be even diagrams. But all of that, then I prefer to export to, it could be to a Google document or to Word or whichever document you're using to orchestrate all your content, because you will have images as well as text and graphics in your books. For image creation, again, there are tons of tools out there. After spending a whole day trying them all out, I prefer Leonardo.ai. It's great, it's fast, it's very good for marketing and images that are not necessarily artwork level, but to transmit an idea quickly. So marketing specialists tend to use it a lot, and it's very intuitive and easy to use, so I definitely recommend it.
I have a
Mhm.
question.
Uh-huh. Oh, can I see the
In
let
the
me-
chat, Sadia Irshad is asking, how is Claude unbiased? Does it not rely on the large language model, or can it access all open sources?
I wouldn't say that any large language model is unbiased. I would say it has stronger parameters or limits than the others because it's based in Europe and they have different rules for AI use. Actually, Trump announced today that he's going to implement some rules, new rules for regarding AI. So this is always changing. So you always have to stay up to date with what's happening. Do your research, stay connected to networks where you can find out what's happening. And even if a prompt works for you today, it might not work. This has happened to me actually over the last year. So even if a prompt works today, it doesn't mean that in 2 weeks or in 2 months it's going to work again, because the I guess the backbone of the models are changing to be politically correct all the time, or for different elements and that might be enforced on them. So you always have to stay open, and like I said, don't structure everything inside your model. Work as you usually work with your usual tools, but use the AI tools to brainstorm and to help you improve on the content. Does that answer the question? I'm not seeing the comments, but
I thought it was a good answer.
okay.
I would agree. I think all large language models are biased because they are programmed by humans,
Mhm.
and humans have their own individual perspectives, their own biases, and their own people don't know everything, and they can't see everything from all different points of view, so
Mhm.
they share their own limitations with the large language models.
Yes.
That would be my perception of it. We have another question here. Are there any rules to extract data through AI, copyrights, and etc.?
Again, you'd have to check for your particular task what the rules are, and you can check this inside each one of the platforms. But at the moment, anything that you create, and again, you have to check because there's so many. I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands, of tools out there, so I can't speak for all of them. But the main ones, any content that you create is yours. But you do, of course, as we go through the prompting tips and techniques, you'll see what Ivan was mentioning earlier, how students are using it. If you just ask, you just give a very vague instruction, you're probably going to get the same answer as everybody else. So even if the content is yours, you're just repeating what everybody else is doing, unless you have very strong prompting techniques and a good idea of what you're trying to create. So
I
that
think-
part is human for sure.
One thing I would add is that, well, two things. One, it depends on how you're using it.
Mhm.
So for example, I've used artificial intelligence to give me ideas about what to include in a piece of writing, but I don't actually use the wording that they came up with. I'll then write it myself after saying, yes, I'm glad I asked it to produce this text because it reminded me to mention this or that.
Yes.
The other thing is that there are lawsuits going on and everything's brand new and it's constantly changing. We're kind of on the cutting edge of things now. So what's going to happen in the future is yet to be determined, but it might also happen that in different jurisdictions, there are going to be different rules about whether or not AI is violating copyrights. It is being trained on things that other people have written. And so one argument is that some of it should belong to those authors that it was trained on. And we'll just have to see how the courts decide. And then you may have one ruling in Pakistan that's applies to Pakistan, and it might be different from what the European Union does.
Mhm.
That might be different from what the United States does. So it may depend on the jurisdiction. Some jurisdictions may come out with court rulings about copyright and AI that influence others. So we'll just have to wait and see. But thank you for those answers. Let's move
I'm
forward.
I'll touch on that again in a minute. So the last two tools that I want to recommend for creative projects are Canva. Canva is huge, and they've actually purchased Leonardo AI, sorry, and they also purchased the tool that I did the avatar video with. So if you go into Canva, it's great for any graphic design, any presentation material, social media, websites, anything in there you can pretty much do. And it has beautifully designed templates that will help. Grammarly is super useful. You're probably using it already. You can download it and attach it to your emails and your Word documents and everything. And it will actually, a lot of the results that you get out of, say, ChatGPT, Grammarly will correct and automatically rewrite because it's written badly. So that's your first edit right there. I want to share something. Maybe if I stop sharing, they'll see my face. Okay. My mother is an artist. So when I started creating art with AI, one of the things I was very conscious about was not using any reference to other artists' materials or to any other artist names. So to make sure that I could create art from words or prompts only. And the results are amazing because you can set, a bunch of parameters, anything from what you're specifically trying to do to the camera angles, the type of camera, the lenses, everything. It's as deep as you want to go, or you can stay very much on the surface if it's not a very serious project, and it will do its best. And I know that the models are being trained on general knowledge out there. So there is an element there of where the information is being obtained from, but it's not dissimilar to how when we are creating ourselves as architects or as any other creative endeavor, you get inspiration from everywhere. You just have to make sure that your idea for the project or the concept that you're creating is unique. And this is more and more important because there is so much content out there that unless yours is truly unique and authentic, it's just going to get lost in a sea of content. So we'll see how AI can help us. I'm going to share the screen again. Yeah. All right. So defining the scope, this is what we were talking about. So it's important to be clear. Remember that the AI is an assistant. It is a very powerful assistant. It has tons of knowledge. But if you give a bad prompt, you don't have any idea of what exactly you're doing, then your results are going to be bad as well. It's not about how much your AI knows, it's about your instructions as well. And likewise, if you're not sure, when you're defining your scope, you're still not sure what the prompt should be, you can still talk to your AI as your assistant, and knowing that it knows so much, you can say, I am trying to do this. Ask me questions about my project. What would you need to know from me to create? That's another way to prompt. That's not usually talked about, but it's very, very useful. So the first examples are to do with social media platforms and customer engagements, things like that. We could test those later, but I think the prompts that I have at the end are more useful to test. So we'll just move forward if you don't mind. And after defining the scope, we generate ideas. If we use targeted prompts, like I said, you will guide your, they refer here as bots. You could say, if you think about it as your computer, right? It's not going to be much different to how we've been using computers over the years. Some sample prompts there, and we can explore what if scenarios. You need to test your robot and challenge it, not just to the obvious answers, but try and consider different viewpoints. Know that, for example, if it's not trained specifically in your culture, you will have to train your robot to think like you. You can even train it to write like you. You can clone yourself and do lectures if you want, or things like that. Refining and expanding ideas. That's when you have the bones of your project, but you want to refine them. It can help you with that. It's all of them are very useful. And what you can even do as you're refining your prompts is trying the different tools and seeing the different responses, gauge which one is more appropriate for your task. You can ask the AI tool to check itself for accuracy. That's very useful when you're working with ChatGPT. And to also explain its thinking if you're not sure of the validity of an idea. But ultimately, you are the master here. It's not, you're using all this information, but it's you who is directing. And then visualizing and organizing ideas. It will have different modes. And it's difficult to think with the spectrum of tools that we have, how to summarize and into practical tips. But I think with these tools that we're talking about right now, what's good is that they are big companies that update their models more frequently. They have the funding to do so. Because the risk is that you might be tempted to use new tools that come out all the time, and then they don't get updated, or I don't know. You'll find challenges. So at least with the main tools as a base, you can create a lot of content already. All right, so we can get into advanced prompting. This is where we're gonna try. I'm gonna stop. Let me see. Escape. So one of the advanced prompting techniques is multi-prompts. You first, say, for example, analyze the current market trends for your project. And this, I would say, is something that you can go out of the model to feed your model content. So, for example, I'm using ChatGPT. I'm gonna copy this here. No, this is getting in the way. All right, so not ChatGPT. I tend to talk to the models as for writing, the ones for writing, particularly as literally as an assistant. So it's more of a conversation. Can you see what I'm typing? What should we do the project on? For 2025, grammar transfer 2025 teaching tools, AI tools. So there, it will give you let me go back up so you can see. So personalized learning through AI, integration of AI classroom management. So it will talk about the trends for this year on tools for teaching, specifically for teaching. And then at the end, it will give you links to articles that are relevant where it took the information from. You can also, if you want to do your own research and then feed it into ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude, that's another way to do it. If you want to feed it different articles with different angles on a same subject, it's also a very useful way to do it. Let's go back to, yeah. All right, so you can go on from there. This is the multi-part prompt where you can, from an initial prompt, you can then continue to prompt and refine until you get the results that you were after, or until you have some new ideas. Sometimes you have to put things on hold until you have time to think about it because the answers are immediate. So it can be overwhelming when you're trying to work on a book, say, or a big project. Then another type of prompting is nested prompting, where you describe, so for example, here it says describe the impact of climate change on agriculture. And you can go as deep into a subject, say you're within a, say for example, me in architecture, I want to look closely at sustainability, and within that, I want to look at materials, and within that, I want to look at something. So you can really go as deep as you want, or you can be totally creative and come up with new ideas. I don't know if we're gonna try all the prompts, but let's just keep down this page. Iterative prompting. It gives you an idea here, generate a plot for a science fiction story. That's very, very general. It can do that, of course, and it will produce very generic results. So again, whatever it is you're working on, you need to really try and think of it from a unique perspective. For when I've applied this to, I was asked, for example, to do to design the scene for a short movie here in Cayman. And they gave me the script, which was very, very short. And it was very difficult to figure out how to produce anything from it. So I used ChatGPT to improve or to expand on the script and to come up, brainstorm for different ideas of what the rooms could look like. And then from there, I ran that by the director, and then I could actually design the spaces. Conditional prompting. This is very, very useful when you're doing apps, for example. or you might want to use it for a number of projects, but particularly for apps when you're analyzing a lot of data and you need to classify things. So a bit like traditional coding, I guess. And in this case, describe how the company should adjust its marketing strategy for A, during an economic boom, B, during a recession, and C, when entering a new international market. The same could apply for, I don't know, a number of scenarios for a specific project. And we can, I mean, if we had more time, we'd try every single prompt, but chain of thought. This is probably one that we use more when we're going into large projects. So think through a problem, which in this case is urban traffic congestion. This is big here in Cayman, we could use it. And so let's try this prompt and see. Sometimes this is a problem that I find more with graphic, where am I? With graphic tools. So when I'm trying to do to create an image, that's where I find it's most challenged to identify a location and actually fit the results within that area. But with the writing tools, generally they're a bit more helpful. So let's try this prompt.
Think through the problem of urban traffic congestion step by step. Consider various factors contributing to the issue, potential solutions, and their pros and cons. Then, based on this analysis, recommend the most effective solution.
Now,
That was changed?
yes,
What was that one called? Yeah.
Okay, we can go back, but there are a few things missing here. First of all, I'm not giving my my tool any context as to where the traffic congestion is occurring. So I'm going to say traffic congestion in the Cayman Islands. And it might not know because again, I'm not teaching it. I'm just checking if it knows, first of all. Step by step, consider various factors, including contributing to the issue, potential solutions, and the pros and cons. You can also say, when you're feeding information to the model, you can say, I'm feeding you information but, about this topic. Like, for example, I could feed it 2 or 3 articles about traffic in the Cayman Islands. And you could say your first prompt could be, just let me know if you understand, don't do anything yet. And once it says, yes, it does understand, then run the prompt for your results. Now it's taking a little while. We can maybe go back to the presentation and wait for this result to run. Ah, here we go. That's true. It's a very small land area. Growing population and tourism, that's true as well. Car dependency. Yes, so this is a great starting point for then going deeper into the subject. That was chain of thought prompting. All right. Now some prompting tips, and consider, you may consider the tone. Let me go to. Consider the tone and style. So you can, depending on your audience, of course, you can tailor the same content for different audiences. So say you are talking about the traffic congestion in Cayman, but you want to engage a younger demographic, and then, but you also want to check on different, with different age groups. You can tailor your content for those 3 groups, and then define the funnels that you're going to use to distribute your surveys or information that you're going to send. Incorporate conditional statements. This is where I was talking about generations. So the first one, talking about the audience. Right. So the first one is about the level of complexity of your result and how an audience might understand it. The second one is generations. And then the third one, using comparative prompts. Again, you can get as complicated or as simple as you want. Remember that your assistant has all the information and often has very specific books, so you can even refer to books. I've done this to help friends who are in the legal circles. And when you want to make sure that the results that you're aiming for are backed by data or by previous research, you can ask it to refer to, say, 2 or 3 books that are the top rated on this subject. It could be negotiations, is the case that I'm thinking about. And then your results are very specific and very different from just a general prompt. Techniques for reducing ambiguity. I don't think it's any different from what we've discussed so far. Specificity and generality in prompts. Again, I think bottom line is we have to still use our traditional tools and our traditional thinking, but just use the models to assist us. Don't let them guide the whole process, because then it'll be a disaster, more likely. Yes. You can also tell it to give you answers in different formats. So it could be a table format, it could be bullet points, it could be, you can limit the number of words that you want an answer in. You can ask it to summarize text. That's a great tool as well. When you're teaching it, you want to make sure that it's understanding. So you say, I'm feeding you this article that I'm working with, or these 2 or 3 articles that I've done before. I want you to learn my tone specifically, how I write, how I want to be perceived. Tell me if you understand, and then work from there. All right. Then fine-tuning the language, yes. You can ask it to describe step by step, like we did in the other prompt. And so I'm just going to read this paragraph, this couple of paragraphs, because they're very important. I'm not seeing the comments. Is that what you're pointing out?
No, that's fine.
All the time. Oh, sorry. All right. So iteration and refinement we talked about. So it's not, don't think that you're just going to work with the first results that you get. You are going to, it's a process, and you are going to continue to refine, brainstorm, come back. This is why it's so useful to work somewhere else outside the model, so that you can organize your thoughts, because your conversation with the robot is going to be very long and it's going to have lots of results. So it could be confusing, but this paragraph, okay. So stimulating original ideas through prompts is an art form in itself. And I'm just going to skip. Instead of asking for straightforward answers, pose questions that invite exploration and novel connections. All right, so there's a sample prompt there, but we look another time. Yes, okay. Push your AI. So if it thinks you don't want to do much, then it will give you average answers and think that you're happy with that. But push your AI to think more and to brainstorm with you. So a little bit more in depth. I love this one. I want to try this prompt because I haven't had time to try it. So this is, yes, this is for combining disparate concepts. I love that. I think that could be very useful for art. So let's paste this here. And I would always start very nicely. I think it really helps the results if you're nice to your robot. So I would say, help me to brainstorm for this. Here is Grammarly telling me it's not, I've written it incorrectly. So even for prompts, Grammarly steps in and assists. Okay, let's see what it says. Value improvisation over perfection. Why not?
Well, that's interesting because urban planning and improvisation don't seem to be exactly the same thing.
No, but okay, so I can stop at any point. I think if I can catch it, it's too fast. I can stop here. All right. Because also otherwise I could run out of my allowance for the day. So you can see how it can take an idea that's completely outrageous and have no preconception. It won't say to you, what are you doing? This is crazy. It will work with you no matter what. And unless you're offensive, of course, or unless it doesn't know, then it will say, sorry, I can't help with this. But that's very rare. So you see the results there. Let's get back to our presentation. There was one more I wanted to try. This one is hilarious. So out of the box solutions, list 10 unconventional uses for a paperclip that have never been thought about before. I'm not going to try that one, but you might later. This one is the one I wanted to try as well. Oops. This one here. So it's another outrageous idea. Hopefully it's not going to tell me why are you doing this. It takes a minute, and if you're trying to, you can get the model to be working on this while you jump onto another tool to do something else, maybe create your images or maybe check some articles. But generally the results are super fast. I might use some of these for artwork later. This is hilarious. All right, so I think you get an idea of how the robots can work with you in this fashion. Let me see where we are in the presentation. This is some of the artwork that I have produced before. This is the movie that I was talking about earlier when I was working with a small movie production. And Leonardo AI you can generate your images, and then you can also turn those images into movies, short movies. So it's super useful for coming up with ideas quickly. Yeah, so text to image creation. This is how the image generation AI tools work, and most of them, or at least all the ones I've tried, and I spent the whole day trying out different ones. To get started, of course, you sign up for the, initially it's free, and you may have a limit of how many images per day you can produce. That's generally the case with all of them. And we're just gonna try maybe a couple of them, but the difference with writing and image is that when you're writing, when you're generating images, the text prompts are descriptions of the scenes. They're not instructions to the model. And that's the main difference. So when you're working with ChatGPT, you're giving out instructions. Whereas when you're trying to create an image, you're describing your image or your outcome. So here, I hope you can see that. These are some sample prompts that I ran yesterday to show you. And within Leonardo AI. So it will give you 4 images. You can choose one, you can prompt on top of that one, or you can turn it into a video. Let me see if it allows me to see my, okay. Can you see the prompts there? So in this one, for example, it says interior of a limousine with LED lighting, TV and bar, an open space at night. So trying to describe the scene, the materials, the lighting. You can also prompt for what kind of mood do you want to reflect, etc. This one here is a different prompt. There's a shorter prompt here. With image generation, if you're not sure what type of camera is best for that result, let the AI do that work. So you focus on what kind of mood do you want to, how do you want the image to feel, what kind of mood do you want to transmit or achieve, if it's day or night, the type of setting, your materials, your camera angles is something you, even if you don't know much about photography, you know, if you want a view from above, an aerial view, or if you want, or if it's underwater photography or whatever it is, it will help you. And you can also use ChatGPT to help you with prompting for specific tools if they're generally widely used. Now we talk a little bit about licensing and using art ethically. The copyright status is with the, in some cases it will be with the AI generated, with the tool, and in other cases with the artist. And I would say when I was starting to do art, the copyright was always with the artist, but as companies are bought by other companies and regulations change, we always have to check where we're at with the rules. And like Ivan mentioned earlier, it could change from country to country as well. Not just where you create the art, but also where you're aiming to sell it or to use it. That might affect you. So always use check the licensing terms before using any artwork. Also, if you're aiming to use somebody else's artwork, and this is common practice, has been common practice for years, but now it's even more important. Don't just assume that that you can use an image. Check the rights, that you do have the right to use it. And stay informed. This is 101 of AI, and it's so difficult because I'm working on a project right now on a book for prompt engineering, and the rules are changing every 2 weeks in some of the items that we're talking about or writing about. And it becomes a real challenge. So we always have to add a note to say, please check for yourselves. All right. So here I asked ChatGPT because I thought it's one of the widest used tools. And I wanted to know what other tools are out there that people are using. And these are their recommendations for writing. You might find that if you need to come up with a lot of content, say for books, ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini are not appropriate, there is AI software out there that you can use for specifically for books. And it will write for you. Again, you have to be creative with your angle and check your facts and feed it information and all the rest. But maybe you do your brainstorming within ChatGPT and then feed that information to your writing tool specifically. There's one here that says academic assistant, and I've actually added that to my ChatGPT feed. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but it says writing profession academic assistant, so it should be more fine-tuned for producing academic content. Other tools, so these ones are created by the ChatGPT team. DALI is for image creation. I'm just going to mention the ones that I know out here. Creative writing coach. So if, again, what concerns me about using other tools that are not necessarily the main ones is how long will they last. But again, if you're using the tool to produce work and then exporting that work to a general document, you shouldn't lose any of your document, even if the tool is not the AI tool is not very successful and therefore gets discontinued. You still have your content somewhere else. That's what I would do. And yeah, so more image generation here is Canva. Canva, I cannot emphasize enough how good it is for everything from books to presentations to videos to anything. Actually, the video, it has avatars in it now, so you can create presentations with the avatar. Python coding, I haven't used any of that yet. Yeah, write for me. There you go. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute myself again. Oh, and stop sharing. There we go.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank
for
you
that
very much.
Presentation. I learned a lot from
Yeah.
it myself, and I'm interested in trying some of your tips. So it sounds like we have, looking at the chat, there's a lot of questions.
Okay. We have a bit of time. Yes.
So why don't I just ask whoever would like to ask a question, just raise your hand using the,
I might not have all the answers, in which case I'll ask ChatGPT.
okay, so so if anyone has any questions, does this just go ahead and why don't we just ask? I was trying to answer some of the questions in the chat, but
Now I can see the
don't
chat,
think I
but I
got
was
to all of
sharing the
them.
screen, so I couldn't.
Yeah. So does anyone have any questions they would like to ask? You're muted, Rabia, you're muted. You're muted. Okay. Dara Ghazi Khan? Turn up your volume.
Oh, no, I was unmuted.
Am I audible now?
Oh, yes. Sorry. Yes.
How can we create a short video for a short story using artificial intelligence? Any tools? Yes, please.
should unmute yourself.
Okay, sorry. What was, repeat the question, sorry.
How to create a video for a short story using artificial intelligence tools. Which tools would you recommend?
So I would go with, so it's a video, the final outcome is a video. You can
Yeah.
use ChatGPT to help you brainstorm the script, first of all. If you know which tool ultimately you're going to do the video in, then you can use the parameters for that particular tool. Depends on the type of video. I've only just learned to do the videos that you saw with the avatars. You could also clone yourself and do videos with yourself of yourself. I'm not very comfortable doing that just yet. But with Canva, I would go to Canva because that's the overall tool that for presentations, whether they're videos or stills. You can also do design multiple slides or graphics that you're going to use in different platforms. Just have them all in the same place. I would go to Canva, but get ChatGPT to help you brainstorm with in terms of the script, how I would go first of all, and then go and use the other tools.
And you said Leonardo.
Leonardo as well.
It's still a collection of all the tools, right?
Yes, so always, and I think this is also a way to protect your work. If your work is not all in one single tool, right? It makes sense to do that because we don't know yet, how powerful these tools are going to be. They're saying that next year, some of the tools will actually work as employees, and you will give them instructions. They will go away for a couple of days, access all your documents, your credit card, do the ads for the tasks that you've given, and come back to you with the analytics and the results. So it sounds very scary, but the way to protect yourself is to have your project in different tools, and then to assemble them in your computer or in your Google Drive with where you keep all your projects together. That's what I would do. That's how I'm working. So
Okay, so we have
Thank
a
you so much.
question from
good luck.
Gaza University here, whose hand
Okay.
is up.
Yeah.
But you need to unmute, please.
Yes, I'm really sorry for not changing my name. I'm Talha Bashir. If you allow me, I would like to add to first of the question that my colleague asked, that was about making a short video.
Mhm.
Recently, I have experience of making short videos through AI. There are some tools that they might help. They do help if you have script with that, and they also help if you just put the idea. They give you the output, and then you can modify as per your need. Tools are like InVideo AI, Flicky, and Pictory. 3, 4 more other tools as well. Those are really helpful for you. They use stock videos some of the times, and sometimes they even use it by themselves with their models. Then they put in the shape, then finally you can have any aspect ratio you want to have. Either that could be a short video, or that could be a long video in vertical and horizontal, whichever position you want to have.
That's brilliant. Maybe you could write the names of the tools in the chat so everybody can see what.
Yes, I'm going to write it, but still I have my question for which I raised my hand.
Okay.
Probably that has been answered already, but actually, I'm also using the Turnitin software for plagiarism checking and artificial intelligence checking. Sometimes I'm really astonished. I am to 100% sure about some of the paragraphs that they are handwritten and human written, but still it shows as that it is written by any language model, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So, what are the causes? Either that system has not been developed this long, Are this good or there is something else?
There are two ways to avoid AI detection tools. One very simple one is to take all your text, translate it to another language, and then translate it back. That gets rid of any AI trace. And don't tell your students. And then and then the second option is to actually ask your AI tool to rewrite or to provide the answers in the first place in a manner that would avoid AI detection. You can also ask it to, on this note, you can also ask it to analyze itself or the answers against for accuracy, for example, which is something very useful. Because sometimes it can be dreaming up things or scenarios and kind of lose track of where it is. Oh, thank you for sharing the tools. Yes. I haven't tried any of those. I tried a couple of other tools, but the results weren't that great. So I haven't really used video that much.
Okay, fine. I have some sort of addition or another question into my previous question. Whenever
Yeah.
we try to rephrase it with the help of AI, recently I came across whenever we get results or reports from Turnitin, it once again shows that this portion of the text is generated by AI and this portion of the text is rephrased by AI. So there are still issues. I mean, uh, if we are going to detect it for the students, that's well and good. Sometimes we are having humanized writing, but still it's detecting, but we cannot submit that work of us just because of that glitch of Turnitin, maybe. Should I say glitch or maybe something else?
Well, I shared the two ways that I would use it. But anyway, when, say, for example, I'm selling a book on Amazon Kindle, it will ask you if you used AI to create the content, and I am just honest about that. I did use AI to assist me with the content, and actually, when I started learning about all this, I was very skeptical until I heard that more than 50%. This was a year ago, and in AI terms, a year ago is like 10 years ago. That more than 50% of the bestsellers on Amazon are actually AI assisted. And think about it, there's not much you're going to be able to do without AI assistance unless you want to take a long time to produce things, which might be what you want to do, but you know, everybody else is going to pass you by. And it's going to be, I remember when I moved to England and architects were moving from the drawing boards to computers. And many of the older architects said, no, we're not changing. So our assistants, younger assistants can do the CAD drawings, but we'll continue to work in the same way. And what happens really is that there is this beautiful collaboration between different generations because you need each other. We've grown accustomed to being able to do everything by ourselves. And now we need others, whether they're younger or older. And I think that's a great outcome of these tools, actually, because the younger generations are going to know a lot about AI, but they don't know as much about specific fields that they're going into. That's when they will need the other generations to help. And if you can create groups to collaborate with each other, the results are going to be fantastic.
Thank you so much for your valuable input.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions from the group?
Hi, Doctor. I am Dr. Abdul Rashid. Actually, I don't have any question. I have to share just related information with this AI. Means I am here in the University of Reading, and there was a project. I have to just means this would be looking at the otherwise. It's the distorted history.
Oh.
And in this project means that's on the display in the where Museum of Archaeology, and I will be just showing you a little bit. And that's a booklet basically,
Mm-hmm.
and they have inserted the images
Mm-hmm.
about the Greek gods and goddesses and like those images, and they have reproduced the actual images and what the AI has generated, and
Wow.
they have named it as a distorted history. In the very book means they have just I would be just like this, means here is the original image like this, here is the on one side is the original image and the other side is the distorted images. And they have created a booklet that how the AI has generated the Greek, means they also have written the prompts as well.
Uh-huh.
uh, and they are very accurate that you have to do this like this, goddesses like this with the flying wings and all that. But the what the AI has generated, they have named it as a distorted history.
Oh, wow, wow. When I was creating the book, actually the idea of the book was just a project to see how I would put a book together using AI. And my biggest challenge was it had no idea what Cuban food looked like.
Yes.
So,
And there was there was also a like joke like, means might be true that there was a case in America, in the court of America, that the what the McDonald have shown on the in the advertisement, the pizza or the means burger was not actually like that that what they
mhm.
have shown in the advertisement and what they were selling.
Yes, yes, yes. So
So
but it's amazing also how I'm teaching AI. I'm using it constantly. I have two teenage kids who are totally against using it.
yes, so it may it
I said to them, "This is great. Keep going, trying to do things on your own for as long as you can. I know you'll have to jump in, but they are very skeptical. So it's interesting to see that even the younger generations are skeptical of what content,
yes,
because they're bombarded with content on social media, on the web, and yes, they're very, very suspicious of any type of content.
yes, we call it as the politics of representation.
Hmm.
Means what is the real and what the AI would be generating the images in the minds of the youngers, and the market, means the seller, the person who is just going looking on those images, and when he would be finding the reality. In this way we would be creating a gap of knowledge between the reality and the projection and the projected images as well.
Yes, in fact, the exhibition that I did here in Cayman, my first exhibition, was called "What is Real,"
Yes,
and the challenge was, you look at a result, it looks exactly like a photography, like a
yes,
photograph, and
yes,
you wonder, well, if it can do this, what else can it do? But
yes,
it's like if I can equate it to another example, say for example, you're fixated on obtaining property and money.
yes,
And you do that for a while, but after a while you've obtained enough that it becomes, why would you do more, right?
yes,
So what I would say to you is you're about to get some very, very powerful tools with which
yes,
you could do anything. So you will have to ask yourself why. Why are you creating content? What for? And as long as it's authentic and unique, then it will stand out, because there is so much content that's just created in 2 minutes without any thought process behind it. If yours is unique, you have crafted it and looked at it. For example, with my work, my artwork, I'm not doing photographs anymore, or work
yes,
that looks like photographs, because a photographer can do photographs.
yes,
So my work would be something that is impossible to get a result, very difficult to get without a lot of funding and a lot of I don't know, specialists behind it. And you create something totally unique, and it's obvious. I think that's why I use the avatar instead of myself in the video,
because I wanted to be obvious that there is use of AI. And
Yes, one more thing which I find very interesting with the AI means you may observe it on your screen as well. When you just write the prompt and still just to click and she starts writing.
you can tell it stop. You can tell it wait. I'm going to teach you something.
Yes.
Don't
No,
start.
not like that. Means even
Ah.
the intelligence, the human
Oh, yes,
intelligence means
yes.
we have to just read what the prompt is coming, what he is asking, what might be the intention of the reader. Means
Mhm.
it does not read our intentions within the text as well.
All right. Yeah. Don't. No.
Start pouring the things like that. What it's in the mind, just we enter, it starts pouring the things.
Yes.
Not-
With the visual, with the image creation,
Yes.
is not as forthcoming. So I've had a few prompts that it will tell me, no, we can't produce this.
Yes.
This might be offensive to somebody, or you're trying to produce an image of, I don't know, it could be an infant or something.
Yes.
So you do notice the changes from
Yes.
sometimes just from week to week in the
Yes.
results of your prompts. So I actually attended a lecture here in Cayman of AI prompt engineers who have been working in this field for years. And the
Yes.
engineers were demanding that their prompts be protected, right?
Yes.
They said our prompts should be protected. This is how people are getting results.
Yes.
I was like, good luck with that, because your prompt in 2 weeks or 2 months will be worthless
Yeah.
because it doesn't get you any results. This is where it's important that you develop your own thought
Yes.
processes and your own projects. Yes.
Yes. Thank
Okay,
you very much. Thank
All
you very much.
Welcome.
thank you, Dr. Abdul. Naveed had his hand up a minute ago.
Thank you very much for giving me the time, and thank you very much for having so nice and we can say detailed lecture on that. I was just adding up, wanted to add information that maybe some of us have this idea that we are giving a very short and very brief prompt, and then we are getting the extensive results. But at the same time, I have realized that prompt engineering is making us realize that we have to be very detailed and specific to get the exact responses and the exact target we are going to achieve. So it is not only that we are leaving it generic, and if we are leaving a generic, you can say prompt, then it will start pouring out all the information, and you have to make him tame and train and let it be specific and to the point. So I think that is also our duty to train it according to our wishes and desires. Like we train our pets and we train our kids, so we have to train it like that. I think so.
Yes.
That's what I had. Thank you.
Well, another tip in this topic is, just as you're going to keep your content out of the different AI tools and assembled somewhere in your computer or your your Google Drive, keep also a document with your prompts for different tasks. So you could have a Word document with prompts for creating images or you could have another one on writing about certain things or research, comparing research results, things like that. So you can create your own prompts and structure them. But I would say if you try and direct it too much, I've met actually a marketing specialist who uses AI constantly. And she has 2 sheets worth of prompts for one activity. So it's literally instructions. Just one, it's actually one prompt, but in 2 sheets. That's okay if you're just going to be churning out the same work every day for different companies, maybe. But if you're using it for creative purposes, you don't want to control it so much that it doesn't know where to go. Because then what you find is it starts ignoring your prompts. Yeah. All right.
Do you need?
Mhm. I'm unmuted.
Okay, that actually brings up an interesting point for me. Because when we're doing research, we're actually creating knowledge
Mhm.
and that doesn't already exist. If we're doing the kind of research that we should be doing to publish it in peer-reviewed journals in our fields, which is what the focus of this course is, we're actually creating knowledge that didn't previously exist. And that is something that AI cannot help us with because it can only process the knowledge it's fed into it. So a lot of the data that you collect, if you're doing laboratory research, your observations in the laboratory are going to be new. And that's going to be determined by how you designed your research project, research design. And if you're in, most of us are probably more in the social sciences in this particular group. And so there might be surveys, there might be interviews, there might be all kinds of different research tools that we use. But the methodology that we use and the research design that we use is what's going to determine what kind of new knowledge we're able to get from those tools that we implement. And so I think it's important to remember that AI is not going to be able to do that for us. But what it can do is it can help us process that information. It can help us um, reflect on it. We can help it, get it to help us write out a plan for what to do in what order. If we tell it what our objectives are and tell it what we're trying to do, and things like that. So uh, at the end of the day, research and academic writing might not be as fun to read as a novel or a poem, but it's still very creative. It's just that we're creating knowledge. And it's interesting when you think about, when we say poetry, in the word in English, poetry comes from the Greek poesis, which means to create or creation. But in some languages, the word for poetry comes from the word to know or knowledge. And so um, the difference between creating art and creating knowledge is not necessarily that severe. So research is still a creative process. It's just knowledge that we're creating and not necessarily um, uh,
Can
art.
can I say something now?
Yeah, let me mute myself.
I have actually used poetry for prompting. I was very interested when I realized that that you needed a different tangle and a flowery way of describing things, or at least a completely different tangle. And there's nothing better than poetry for that. The results were great, so I would encourage you all to try it.
Okay, do we have any other questions or comments before we conclude? No, well, I thank you all so much for being so attentive. And again, we've gone a little bit over the hour, but I was enjoying the entire presentation. And so I hope you found it enlightening and useful. And again, thank you. I know it's late for you now, so thank you for staying up and joining us for this. And I'll look forward to seeing all of you again next week for another Zoom session. And I'll also be interacting with you through the forums and through the course site online. So have a great night and we'll talk soon. Goodbye.
Bye.